let's get into the war and what they're trying to sell us this time, right? What are they trying to sell us this time? Let's just figure this out. And this is why you guys never take sides. I beg of you not. Just look at the situation and see it as a play. See it as a script. See it as something to follow, because there's too many people in the middle getting hurt. And none of these people signed up for any of this junk. Oh boy, did they ever not sign up for any of this junk. It's just the people up top that nobody put there that is basically working towards destroying a lot of lives. Okay, guys, let's rock and roll here. Let's get into our news now. Israel live updates: U.S. bombs Iran nuclear sites. Trump: now is the time for peace. So I guess they wanted to stop the uranium enrichment. But let me throw something out there for you guys. What if there is no uranium enrichment and there never was? What if this whole uranium enrichment thing was just a front to do things like this? What if they just wanted uranium to power their cities? What if there really wasn't anything really happening, but it was all propagandized to make it look like, so start thinking outside the box a bit more, right? U.S. Donald Trump announced Saturday evening that the U.S. had bombed 3 nuclear sites in Iran, and he would be addressing the nation at 10 p.m. Eastern time. He called on Iran to seek peace. So I guess they go into a sovereign country, bomb it, and then say, we want peace now. It's kind of bizarro. We have completed a very successful attack on 3 nuclear sites in Iran, including Fordow, Natanz, and Ifhan. I can't read that. All planes are now outside of Iranian airspace. A payload of bombs was dropped on the primary site. Okay, so there's something ties into this, guys. Just give it a sec. There's a reason why I brought this one up. Watch this. Iran regime says nuclear sites evacuated a while ago claims they didn't suffer a major blow. President Donald Trump authorized precision strikes. We already read that, with B-2 stealth bombers and over 40,000 American troops and family members stationed throughout the Gulf region, including bases in Iraq, Kuwait, and UAE and Bahrain, have been braced for counterstrikes, with evacuations underway for non-essential personnel, according to the Daily Beast. So Syria and Yemen loom large. So let's keep. Is it Jordan? Yeah, Jordan got a major border line there with Israel. And keep an eye out for that area, Jordan. There, keep an eye out for Jordan. Right. You got to remember who Iran is, or who Iran was. Iran area and region was one of the biggest enemies of the Roman Empire. They were a big conflict. And I believe America is making a big mistake with this. I think Iran, I think the United States, I got to get my words clear here. The United States of America is making a major mistake with this. The military is already spread very thin. And go back to our 2012, 2013, and 2014 videos. We made multiple videos asking, can America win its next war? Can America win its next war? That was a question I've been asking for years now, because it's spread so thin that it's almost suicide at this point. Again, Iran and the region was the Roman Empire's biggest enemy and biggest conflict and biggest problem. And for America to pick a fight with with Iran now, I think it's one of the biggest mistakes they have made. And Pentagon details Iran strikes. The U.S. has devastated Iran's nuclear program, according to Secretary of Defense Pete Hughes. The U.S. aerial strikes on Iran were incredible and overwhelming success, in quotations, and obliterated, in quotations, the country's nuclear ambitions, according to U.S. Secretary of Defense Pete Hegseth. The Pentagon chief made the remarks on a Saturday evening during a large press conference alongside the chairman of the Joint Chiefs of Staff, Dan Kane, to detail the attack, condemned Operation Midnight Hammer. So, big problem. U.S. primary force behind Israel's act of aggression against Iran. So says Pezeshkian. Iran's president says Tehran's decisive response to Israeli regime's act of aggression forced the U.S. to step in and attack the peaceful nuclear sites. Iranian President Mossad Pezeshkian says the United States is the primary driving force behind Israeli's regime's acts of aggression against the Islamic Republic. And it goes on to say, in early hours of Sunday, the U.S. launched unlawful strikes against Iran's peaceful nuclear facilities in Fordo, Natanz, and Isfahan in clear violation of international law. Again, it's a sovereign country. They're going in like the United States usually do, and they sell you this war just like they sold you the Ukraine, just like they sold you the Civil War, just like they sold the Civil War to the North to go free the slaves in the South, which is bizarre because it wasn't about freeing a damn slave. It was about paying the crown their taxes. The South didn't want to pay taxes to the crown and wanted independence from the crown. And that's why the North was funded by the crown and brought over a bunch of Irish to go fight the war in the North. Fight the war for the North. Wake up, people. You've been being played for centuries now. And
what was invaded was Iran's airspace, and it was an invasion of a country, of a sovereign country, and it has to be punished. The problem you see we're facing really is that basically what happens, we separate these entities, we separate the U.S. regime, we separate from the Israeli regime, and then we say, oh well, the Israeli regime has to pay a price. Oh well, Trump has to pay a price. But this is what happens. So somebody becomes the bad guy, and then comes and hits Iran, and then we're expected to only hit that that individual
good cop,
entity.
bad cop.
Of course. And then now.
And I'm willing to bet. I'm willing to bet 10 years. I'm willing to bet whatever you guys want that none of the Israeli people wanted any of this. Again, let's go back right here real quick. On 2 days before the attack, there it is right there. Let's go back to this again. We were following 39 weeks of consecutive weeks of Israeli people, not my prime minister. We don't want this Benjamin Netanyahu. We want him out. And there it is right there, folks. 2 days before the attack, 39 consecutive weeks of protesting not my prime minister, which is really interesting. How he cemented himself in, how Hamas got played, how you got played, how you're all getting played. I'm going to keep saying this because that's what it is. You're all being played. Or is it the biblical following the biblical prophecy? Biblical procedure, I called it. Are they following biblical procedure? That is a really good question. All right, where do we get to here? And again, more live updates. Trump speaks after U.S. strikes on nuclear sites in Iran. Iranian media assesses the damage from the U.S. attack. President Donald Trump has claimed Tehran's nuclear facilities were completely and totally obliterated. And then, again, this is going back to Saddam Hussein had weapons of mass destruction. But then they got in there and he didn't have a damn thing. What if this whole nuclear thing is a big ploy? I don't know, guys. Like it's they're using that as a front, of course, to go there and blow them up and do what they have to do with them. They claimed that he had weapons. They try to sell the American people for over 3 years straight. Right? Remember Colin Powell? Remember that guy showing all these drawings of all this stuff that they have and weapons and all these bunkers that they had, all kinds of stuff ready to go. Yeah, very interesting times to be alive, folks. Very interesting time to be alive. That's for sure.